All right, so we are going over midterm part B. This is the second day of the midterm, the one that's happening on Thursday. With the very first thing we're going to start doing is graphing an inequality. Okay, so graphing inequalities. Remember, when you graph inequalities, it not only requires you to know how to graph an equation of a line, y equals mx plus b, but you also have to know that if it says greater than or equal to, you're shading up, less than or equal to, shading down. And if it says like greater than or less than, it's a dashed line, greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, solid line, okay? Excuse me. So there's a lot of little things you have to know how to do in this section. So first off, we're going to basically treat this like y equals mx plus b. This is m right here. This is b right there. So you begin at your b value, which is -3. That's your y-intercept. So I'm going to put a dot at -3. And then my slope is 2/3, so I'm going to go up twice, 3 to the right. So that's right here. I'm choking on air, sorry. I'm still trying to get over that. It says greater than, so my line is dashed. And since it says greater than, I got a shade above. So just color it in. And that's all you got to do for that one. So hopefully that's not too terrible. Just graphing a line, but remember you have to think about, is it dashed or solid? Do I shade up or down? Okay, those are things that we got from section, let's see, what section was that? I think it was 2, graphing, somewhere around here, I can't remember where it was. Solving inequalities, probably like 2.2a, stuff like that. Okay, so 2.2a is probably about where we're at for that. So, this isn't too terrible. And then near the end, they're going to probably make you do 2 of them, right? So we'll see. So that's question number 1. Question number 2 says, what is the vertex of f of x equal to -3, absolute value of x plus 1 minus 4? Okay, so the vertex is HK, all right? So let me kind of write that down as notes here. So your vertex for this equation is H comma K. Now, if you're wondering what the heck is HK, it goes to the equation y equals to A absolute value x minus H plus K. For us right here, the HK is our vertex, A is our amplitude. Okay, remember, kind of like our slope, right? And again, this is all the notes for all this is given where look up absolute value, solving for absolute values, graphing absolute values. That was all chapter 2. Just look through your notes for that stuff. It's there. So all they want me to do is to write down what the vertex is. So I need to just write down the H value and the K value. Well, this is where the H is supposed to be. That's where the K is supposed to be. But remember, the H is always the opposite of what you see. So my vertex will be a -1, and then your K is what you see, so -4, and that's it. Okay, so it doesn't require any work, really. It's just you have to identify it and write it down. Okay, and that's it. That's your vertex. Okay, that's the pointy part of the absolute value. Okay, because remember, absolute values look like the letter V, or like an upside down V. In our case, this is an upside down V because A, the -3 value, is a negative number, so it opens down. If it's positive, it opens up. Okay, remember that, guys. The fact that the A value tells you whether it opens up or down, because when you have multiple choices and they're like, which one of these graphs is this equation? And you see 4 graphs, maybe 2 are opened up, 2 are opened down, and you look at A and it's positive, then you say, okay, well, the one's opening down can't be it, so it's either going to be these 2. Not all 4, but just these 2, right? You can cut things down based on identifying important pieces of those graphs. So your A term is important. It tells you whether it opens up or down. Okay? So let's go on to number 3. This one just says describe the movements. Okay, so this is the translation. Okay, remember H moves it left or right. K moves it up or down. If K is positive, it goes up. If K is negative, it goes down. So notice my K value is -2 here. So it's going to have to go down twice, right? My H value, that's a tricky one. Okay, in the definition, it says if H looks positive, you move left. If H looks negative, you move right. Well, right now, H is a +3. H looks positive. So I got to move 3 times to the left. So I'm going to basically write that down. Move 3 units left. Move 2 units down. Okay? It's all based on the H and the K. All right? So H will move it left or right. If H looks positive, you go left. If it looks negative, you go right. And if K looks positive, it goes up. And if it looks negative, it goes down. This is not hard to do, especially if you have your notes for it. Okay? Again, these are all things I just don't have the time to write everything down because we're on a shortened schedule. So you're going to have to look that up in your notes. Okay? Just look for graphing absolute values, somewhere around that stuff. When we're doing absolute values, it'll be there. Okay? It was written in great detail. All right? If I can find it after we're done near the end, I'll try to see if I can find it for you so you know exactly what lesson it is. All right, now this is just number 3, but backwards. Okay, it says write an absolute value function that opens down. Okay, it moves 3 units left and 2 units down. Okay, so you know what? Let me change this. Instead of left and down, let me move it up and to the right. 3 units right and 2 units up. Okay, so write an absolute value function that opens down. It moves 3 units to the right, and it moves 2 units up. Okay, so remember, the right is left, the H is left and right. The K is up and down, and the A term can be positive or negative. Usually they'll either give you a number or they don't give you a number for A. If they don't give you a number for A, that means A is 1. But they did say it was opening down, so that means it has to be negative. Okay? So, just to write this down again, y equals to A absolute value of x minus h plus k. That's what we're using. Okay? Now, they say it opens down, but they didn't tell me like by 2 units or anything like that. So, it's just going to be a negative 1. Okay? But it's just going to be a negative in the front. That means it opens down. It moves 3 units to the right, so this is going to be x. Now, if I'm moving to the right, it's going to look positive, right? Well, it's going to look negative if I'm going to the right. Look negative. So it's x minus 3. If it looks negative, it moves right. Okay, again, put that on your notes so that when you guys are looking at this, you can read it, right? If it looks negative, it's going to move right. And then 2 units up, well, this one's going to be positive 2. Okay, and there you go. So these aren't supposed to be hard, but they are definition based. Like you have to know what does what, right? A positive K means up, negative K means down. A negative H means right. A positive H means left. Okay? And then positive A means up, opens up. Negative A means opens down. All right, here's question number 5. So I'll give you a little bit of time to write that down. I'm just going to pause it. All right, so for number 5, we have 2 functions, f of x and g of x. F of x is 2x minus 3. G of x is negative 4x plus 5. And they want me to subtract f of x minus g of x, right? Like that's what f minus g of x means. This means do f of x minus g of x. Well, f of x is 2x minus 3. Minus g of x is negative 4x plus 5. Now you're supposed to distribute the middle symbol here, so the negative is going to distribute over. The first terms are just going to stay the same. So this will be plus 4x minus 5. And then you're just going to simplify, kind of like the very first question we did yesterday. So 2x plus 4x, that's 6x. And negative 3 minus 5, negative 8. And you're done. So these are not supposed to be difficult, assuming you remember what f minus g of x means, right? Subtract f of x minus g of x. But it's not a terribly difficult problem. They might ask you to multiply or add or something like that. I think we're going to do one that multiplies, yeah. So this one right here, number 6, we got f of x is equal to x minus 3. G of x is equal to 2x plus 1. And they want me to multiply these two together. Okay, f of x times g of x. Now, if they didn't write it, f of x times g of x, they would have put f times g of x. So parenthesis f times g, and then an x on the outside. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. F of x is x minus 3. G of x is 2x plus 1. And you're going to distribute. Okay, you'll distribute the tops here, and then the bottoms after. Okay, so the first term times the other binomial, then the second term times the other binomial. So here we go. We get x times 2x, that's 2x squared. X times 1, that's positive 1x, or just x. Negative 3 times 2x, that's negative 6x. And negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. So just simplify, and you're done. So 2x squared minus 5x minus 3, and that's it. Again, these are not supposed to be hard problems. You're either adding, subtracting, or multiplying. We're not dividing, we're just adding, subtracting, or multiplying. Okay? So that's question 6. Any questions so far, 1 through 6? Like I said, some of them, they're kind of tough if you don't have definitions. Like I said, for these right here, these are kind of tough if you don't know what the heck what means, right? So you're going to want to write down notes so you can remind yourself, hey, positive h, go left. Negative h, go right. Positive k, go up. Negative k, go down. Okay? If a is negative, opens up, down, sorry. If a is positive, opens up. All right, this one is also supposed to be very simple. All you're going to do is plug in a number. That's it. Okay, so given f of t equal to negative 3t squared plus 1, find f of 2. In other words, if you plug in a 2 into that little equation, what do you get? Okay, so f of 2 is basically negative 3 and then times 2 squared plus 1. That's all you got to do is just plug in the positive 2 into where the variable is. So this is negative 3, 2 squared is 4, plus 1. Negative 3 times 4 is negative 12, plus 1. So this is negative 11. And that's it. So just plug in the value, simplify, and you're done. Okay? Again, not supposed to be a hard question whatsoever. All right? So just don't forget, put a note for yourself. Just plug the number in, right? See what you get. All right, let's go to number 8. So find the domain and range. So let me try. I'm going to draw one for us. I'm going to put it here and just make it go this way. So this point right here, just so you know, is negative 2, 1, okay? That point is negative 2, 1. So I want to find domain and range. Okay? So domain and range. Remember, domain is how far to the left, how far to the right. Okay? And then range is how far down to how far up. So how far to the left does it go? So, negative 2. How far to the right? Positive infinity. It keeps going down and to the right forever, right? That's the arrowhead. So positive infinity. Now we know that the infinities are supposed to have parentheses, but do I use a parenthesis or a bracket for negative 2? A bracket, and we know that because of the solid dot. Okay? If the dot was empty, then I'd use a parenthesis. But the solid dot tells me it's included. All right, the range. Go ahead. Well, it's going, remember, a diagonal line moves in two directions, this way and this way, right? If you go to the right and down, you get diagonal, right? So isn't it moving in two directions? So in terms of saying how far left, -2. How far to the right? Well, it's going to the right and down forever. That's a diagonal line, right? So this is going to keep going further and further this way, right? For the rest of its lifetime. It's going to go that way forever. It's going to go this way forever. So it's multi-directional. A diagonal line has two directions. So if it's going like this direction, it's going to the right and down. If it was going, let's say my line went this way, then that means it's going up forever and right forever. And that's how you create the diagonal. I think I told you guys that the Etch-a-Sketch, as an example, remember I said like, has anybody ever used an Etch-a-Sketch? That little thing that you draw has like two knobs and sand, and when you move the two knobs, it creates lines. And the only way you can create a diagonal line is if you move, say, to the right and up at the same time. Then you start to get diagonal lines. And it's hard to do, but you need two directions to get diagonal. So right here, this diagonal is moving in two different directions. It's going to the right side and it's going to down in order to get that motion. So yeah, it does go forever. And kind of leads to my next part. How low does it go? Well, it goes down forever, right? So negative infinity. How high does it go? -1. It doesn't include negative infinity. Does it include -1? Oh, +1, sorry. Oh, I can erase that. And it does include that, right? The solid dot. So yeah, the infinities are a little tricky because you always got to think like, okay, it's not just going down. I know it looks like it's going down, but it's also going this way. It's going to the right and it's going down, right? So, but that's domain and range. There might be two questions like this. I can't recall. I'm assuming just one since we have less questions, but maybe there's two. Are we okay with this one? All right. Finding the inverse. So these last couple problems, a little bit more work because we still haven't done substitution, elimination, etc. So find the inverse of this. So remember, the inverse requires 4 steps, right? Step number 1, change f of x to y. Step number 2, change y to x and x to y. Step 3, solve for the new y. Step 4, rewrite it into this inverse notation. So it requires 4 steps. It's in your notes. Please look it up. Okay, write notes to yourself. Find this in the notes, right? How do I do it? Find it in the notes. So here we go. First step, y is equal to -2x plus 3. Second step, x is equal to -2y plus 3. Now I'm going to solve for y, so I'm going to subtract the 3. That's step 3 right now. X minus 3 equals -2y. And then I'm going to divide everything by -2. Okay, so everything gets divided by a -2. So I get -12x, or if you want to write -x/2, that's fine. Okay, plus 3/2 is equal to y. Now I'm going to show you a couple different ways that maybe it could be written. So it can be written like this. This is the way I prefer to, oh, actually, hold on. Let me do the last step here. F inverse of x is equal to -12x plus 3/2. So this is the way I would probably write my solution. Okay, now you can maybe see it like this. F inverse of x equals to -x/2 plus 3/2. Or sometimes you might see it where they put the negative up top like that. They have to distribute that minus, by the way. If it's in the front and you join them together, they have to distribute it. That's why the plus 3 becomes a minus 3. But some tests like to give you the combined thing. Okay? So if they want to do the combined thing, it would look like that. As one fraction, just kind of putting them together. Okay? So again, I prefer this way. I'm pretty sure it was written out like that, but if it's not, it could be any one of those other ones. But I really do think it's the bottom one that you're going to see. Okay? If you're not sure during the test and you're like, here's the answer I got, show me your work, and say, I'm not sure which one of these matches, I can kind of look to see if there's a way I can help you out a bit. But yeah, you got to show me your work. Don't just say, like, I think it's this one, right? So are we okay with this one? Any questions up to 9? All right. So we're approaching 24. This says solve, solve, and then this last one is, all right. So we're going to do this kind of quick, okay? We're going to do these by substitution. And you can choose however you want to. It's up to you, okay? But since one of them says y is equal to this, y is equal to that, let me write it out. Y equals to 3x plus 6. Y is equal to negative 2x plus 4. And I'm going to substitute. I'm going to get this part and plug it in there, okay? I am going to move a little bit faster. I hope you guys don't mind. But I get 3x plus 6. Let me write it in green. Sorry. 3x plus 6 equals to negative 2x plus 4. I am going to get this negative 2x, move it over. That's 5x plus 6 equal to 4. I'm going to subtract the 6 over to this side. So that's 5x equals to negative 2. So x is negative 2/5. Okay? Now I know it's a fraction, but it's not impossible. You're just going to get that answer. You're going to plug it in right there. So we get y is equal to 3 times negative 2/5 plus 6. Again, you guys don't have calculators, so don't freak out. So y is equal to negative 6 over 5 plus 6. Okay. So what is that? That's 30 over 5, so that'd be 24 over 5. So your answer will be this. And again, use a calculator. I mean, if you want to, you can do it in your head. It's up to you. But if you don't want to, just use a calculator to do the calculations, and you'll be fine. So that's using substitution. The next one is using elimination. Okay, maybe with multiplication, we'll see. I'm just giving you a minute here. Anybody need a little bit more? Sorry? 2. Yeah. All right, so here's the one with the elimination. I have x plus 3y equals 6. 2x minus 4y equals 10.
It doesn't matter which one.
Sorry?
It doesn't matter which one you use.
No. Yeah, you can eliminate either one. I'm probably going to go with the top one, multiplying it by 2 to get the 2x's to look the same. That looks like the easiest thing to do. But x plus 3y equal to 6, 2x minus 4y equals to 10. So I am going to multiply the top equation by 2. That way I get my 2x's to be the same. Okay? So I get 2x plus 6y equals to 12. That's multiplying the top by 2. And then the bottom is 2x minus 4y equals to 10. That one's untouched. Okay? So now I'm going to subtract so I can eliminate the 2x's. So 2x minus 2x is 0. 6y minus a negative 4y. That's plus. So that's 6 plus 4. That's 10y. And then 12 minus 10, well, that's 2. If I divide both sides by 10, I'm going to get a fraction again, but that's okay. I get 1/5. So now all I have to do is plug in a 1/5 into one of those two equations. I'll do the top one because it seems easier. Okay, so x plus 3 times y. My y is a 1/5 equal to 6. And I know there's fractions, but again, you guys can use calculators, so don't freak out. It's not a big deal. X plus 3/5 is equal to 6. I'll move the 3/5 over by subtracting it. So x is equal to 5 2/5. Or you can write it as 27 over 5. So my answer will be 27 over 5, comma, 1/5. Again, you're going to have calculators, so just use your calculators. Make sure you know where to find your 1/5 and all that stuff. Now, I am going to ask you guys, for this next problem, just watch. Copy it down once I post it. That way I don't have to wait, because I got 3 minutes. The problem's pretty quick, but if I wait for you guys to draw it, we're going to run out of time. So just later on, copy it. So just watch, and you can do it later, okay? So number 12, this is the last one. Part A says, is 2, -1 a solution? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the point 2, -1, right there. Is it a solution to both equations? No, it's not, because where are my solutions found? In the highlighted green area, and that green dot is only in the yellow area. So this would be no. Okay? Now, the next part says, what inequalities are represented here? That means you're going to have to write the equations. Okay? So here we go. Let me use this point right here for this line, this blue line right there, and this point right there. Okay? So, for this blue line, I'm going to use blue here. M and B. B is -2. That's pretty easy. I can tell the dot on the y-axis is at -2. My slope from that black dot to the other black dot is down twice and once over, -2 over 1. Okay? So, y, I'm not going to put equals, mx plus b, -2x minus 2. My line is solid and shaded down, less than or equal to. There's the blue line. Now let me do the red line, then we're done. Okay, let's do the red line. I'm going to use the y-intercept and this point right here. Okay, so I know it's a dashed line, right? But let me figure out my slope and my y-intercept. So my y-intercept is 1. What's my slope? 1, yeah, it's 1 up, 1 over, right? 1 up, 1 over. So it's 1 over 1, or just 1. So y, 1x plus 1. It's shaded below, right? The yellow shaded area, shaded below, dashed line, less than. Okay, if you want to get rid of the 1, you can. Here's your other equation. Okay, so you're just going to have to translate it. Instead of you getting the equation and drawing it out, they're going to give you the drawing and you're going to interpret it. Okay? And that's it. That's all you got to do for Thursdays.